Hey everybody, part two, Advanced Tag Manager. Wow, I've got a lot of stuff I've got to cover here. I've got to talk a little faster and I got to go really quick, but don't worry about it. You don't even have to take notes because this stuff is so simple. I'm telling you, anybody can do this stuff. Anybody. So, hey, we've covered 3 of the agenda items. Pixel's amazing, aren't they? Tracking campaigns with insights and analytics, and the container, wow, very cool. So what we're on to now is what happens next. Identify the best clients, events or goals, return on ad spend, very cool stuff, advanced analytics and reports, and then analytics step by step. I think quite a few of these are the same thing. Well, they're just going to all merge right together. Don't worry about it. But one of the things that I want to go back and say on part 1, we can look at that and think, man, that's some really sophisticated, incredibly high-end, oh my gosh, revenue optimization engineers have to be Java coders, JavaScripters, got to know C, Ruby, Python. No, forget that. That's not it at all, because what we're trying to do with tag managers is create an environment of confidence. With Tag Manager as an analyst, it even goes deeper than confidence. Really, it's more like it's an intuitiveness. It gives you a foundation of knowledge, because see, when you understand something at the core, then it's just natural. It's intuitive, and that's what we're trying to say here. With Tag Manager installed on a client's site, you as the analyst can have complete confidence and knowledge of knowing that the data that you're going to be working with in Insights and Analytics is repeatable, it's verifiable, it's basically clean. Well, yeah, let's say it's clean. It's clean, and that's what we're trying to establish here. Not that you need to know all these coding languages, or you need to know how to create custom variables, or how to install tags, and that's not it. This stuff is easy. Don't look at it as that difficult. But at the same time, if we want to just kind of do a sidebar here real quick on this most popular coding languages, as found in 2015, you see, this is like all the different. Some of these are scripting languages. Python's more of a scripting language than coding. But anyway, if you think about it, and they are languages, it's like when you hear about learning how to speak in Japanese, it's very difficult. You've heard probably that Russian is like a nightmare. You get into French and Spanish, they're not too difficult, but they're still kind of hard to learn because they have all these different verbs and masculine and feminine, and it gets tough. But if you ever looked at Italian's pretty darn easy. It's a really nice, easy language. They call it the romantic language, and it's easy to speak, it's easy to accentuate and learn, and that's what Python is the Italian of the coding language. And if you learn Python, it's pretty easy, it's very intuitive, and once you know Python, you're pretty much in the door for quite a few other languages that follow some of that same, or Python actually follows their programming. And then if you want to be a real data nerd, a real data scientist, fanatic, and you step back over here to this 0.1%, and that's R. R is absolutely phenomenal for graphing and computer science and data science. A lot of the insights and analytics, graphs and reports are done with R programming. But I digress. So let's get to it. Advanced Tag Manager for practitioners. Wow, we're excited. What does the container do? Well, the first thing we have to do is that we want to make sure that it's installed correctly, because before it can do anything, it needs to be installed correctly. So let's take a look at what the container looks like. Here's what happens. I build the container from the rep says, hey, I need a container for a particular client. In this case, we're looking at Go Kids, Banner Health website. And so I build this container tag, and I pop it into this message here and send it over to the client. Now, it's got a little bit of a thank you and why we're doing this advanced tracking. In bold, highlighted red, letters. Make sure that this gets installed immediately after the opening body tag. If you get confused about how to install it, there's a web link right here that you can, if they follow that web link, there's a web page on Insights and Analytics all about Tag Manager container installation, and shows them exactly how to get to the page source, how to do a sort on that page source. Look for Tag Manager, it pops up, and here's your opening body, and right after the opening body, right after that caret right there, some people would say that's a greater than, so that's a caret encoding. There it is, there's your Tag Manager script, just exactly the way that I gave it to them, right? No script, iframe source equals blah, blah, blah. And then we looked at the page and where'd that page go? And sure enough, there it is. No script, iframe source equals blah, blah, blah. All right. So that's how we want to make sure that the tag is installed correctly. So then what happens when it's not installed correctly? And here's an example for Search Console. In the Search Console tools, if it's installed correctly, I can take all of the information that's stored here in this location and in all of these algorithms, and instead of having to come over here and go through them one by one, I can then tie them directly into our Insights and Analytics dashboard. Right on. Makes it a whole lot easier when we have one place to go to get all of our data analysis, instead of having to go to several places to get data from all over the world. So, and this is pretty interesting stuff. Like AZ Central's got these links, where those links come from. Republic Classifieds, 83,193 links. That's fantastic. All the good information. And if the tag's installed correctly, I can get all of the APIs, application program interface. I get all the APIs tied into our toolboxes. I can get all of the data located in there. Now, if they install the container on their website, but it's not in the right place, basically I can get about 60% of the API data, and I'm losing 40%. So we can still get pretty good information for them, but it's not ideal. And then how do we support sales to get the container installed? This is an ongoing question. It's January 6th, 2016, and right now what happens is that the sales executive requests the container, I create the container, and then I send it off with the instructions to the sales executive. Sales executive gives it to the client cans it off to their IT or their web developer or both. Their web developer or IT has questions, they go back to the client then gets a hold of the sales rep then gets a hold of me, I supply the answer to the sales rep gets back. Is this crazy? Come on. What really needs to happen is that when the sales executives request the container, they just give me the email contact for the client who is responsible for the client to get this thing installed. Me and that person talk directly. We get all the questions solved, all the containers get installed, and there's no confusion. Salespeople don't have to feel like they don't know what they're talking about, and it just makes things a whole lot easier. We're getting there. So what happens after the client installs the container? Well, there's just a couple of things that happen. I'll highlight. I set up the first tag for data collection inside the analytics, and then I start setting up access to things like Bing and Google Webmaster Tools and other APIs so that all gets tied in. I set up the Google Analytics for optimal performance. There's probably 9, 10 plus or minus 2 items in the Google Analytics admin side of things that need to get turned on for our optimizations. And then the settings and Insights and Analytics get turned on so that we can start collecting all these big data repositories into that one really nice tool that we have available to us. Now, if we want to get into the advanced methods, then we have to get to that point where we say, what is a select client? And I think when you start talking about select clients, let's break it down this way, that if you've got a client that just wants to run AZ Central ads only. They're not interested in any of the other digital metrics, digital tools, digital channels, then that's not really a select client. Now, that may be a tag manager client. We can provide them with some tag manager type stuff, but we're not going to give them the advanced analytics and directions. We're going to be wasting your time, right? You're going to be going there trying to show them that they need a link strategy or that they need to expand their PPC campaigns. And, you're not going to be able to get anywhere with those kinds of clients. If you got a client, for instance, that wants to run just in the summer months, and they're not going to be there all year long, and they've got internal teams, and they create their own creatives, and they make their own landing pages, and they just want, again, like an AZ Central display ads, then, we don't need to get very sophisticated with these clients. But now, the opposite of that, you've got a client that is interested in growth. They know that advertising isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. They're not going to say, run 500,000 impressions and get me 50 conversions an hour or you're fired. These are the kinds of clients that you want that say, I'm in it for the long haul. I want growth. I want to know exactly how I can position my digital campaigns across all the digital channels to optimally convert so that I make more money. And when that client makes more money, then they want to increase their ad spend. And when they want to increase their ad spend, that gives us more money. And so we show them how to do it again, and we just keep repeat, right? So they get more revenue, they increase their budget, we get more revenue, we show them how to get more. It just keeps going round and round and round, and we keep getting more and more money, they keep getting more and more money. That's what we call a select client. And when you get that kind of client, what we can do is then we can go in and we can set up event tags. We can start setting up and establishing goals and attaching value to those goals. And then with those in place, then we can do attribution models. We get even more sophisticated. We can tie in their PPC campaigns through our MCC, through the Republic Media MCC. And there's an acronym that I'm sure a couple of you are now thinking, what is that all about? MCC, My Client Center. Let's take a look. The Republic Media has a My Client Center. It basically works this way. We tie in a client has an account number with Google AdWords, and we can tie it into this MCC. And the MCC becomes a gateway to the AdWords API. And through this gateway, we can then connect our insights and analytics tools so that we can analyze those PPC campaigns directly right through our tool. Again, instead of having multiple places to go to do analysis, we can tie it into one. So, for instance, if GOD were running our PPC campaigns for our clients, then all they would do is give me that client account number. I'll add that into our MCC. It flags in their account, says, hey, Republic Media wants access to this client. They say, okay. It pops into my MCC here, Republic Media MCC. Then we tie it into the account. It takes about probably 3 clicks and maybe 5 minutes of time. And most of that time is just waiting for the accounts to talk to each other. So right now, we have a process through GOD for certain clients with a certain ad spend that they would do this for. We're testing the first one. The test began November 4th. Today is January 6th, and I am absolutely confident that within the next week, we will actually have our very first ever GOD sponsored hosted client in our insights and analytics. And of course, I said that after the first week that we put it in, this would take less than a week, but I really am confident it's going to be in the next week and we'll have it. So now that you understand this whole tag manager thing, there's no tag manager reports, there's no tag manager data. Tag manager is a tool that we use to be able to get access to the depth of information absolute depth of information. Everything that we need to know about a client's website's performance, our campaigns, how they perform, their other campaigns, everything you can imagine. So now that you understand that, and you understand it intuitively, then there's a lot of different directions that we could go from here. Each one of them could take days, weeks, months to learn, years to master. For instance, we could talk about looking at a client's website and doing the analysis. So what apps do you need to have on your browser so that when you cruise through a client's website, you can identify the events, the conversions, the goals, and identify how to find the value for those events and goals. Or we could look at the analysis techniques using Insights and Analytics and go through the Google Analytics within Insights and Analytics and find out where's the numbers. How do I do things better than I can in Google Analytics, and can I start using this thing and not get so lost? Or we could do analysis using Insights and Analytics for webmaster tools like ranking reports. We could compare return on ad spend across multiple channels. We could get not just the sizzle, but we could actually start looking at the whole steak. Well, we're going to go with B. And this is great. This is really good because we can start eliminating a lot of the confusion. I mean, hopefully you've already eliminated some confusion with what Tag Manager is and how we use it and all that. And now that confusion's gone. This stuff is easy. Anybody can do it. So the benefits of Insights and Analytics over Google Analytics applications are, well, with Google Analytics, there's a lot of confusion about where's the numbers, why is the reporting so mundane, I keep getting lost and all that, and then why can't I brand these reports? So what we do is like problem number one. If you look at Google Analytics and you exploded each one of the menu items just in the reporting, this doesn't even include the admin section. The admin section's probably got about 2 times more than this. You can see there's a lot of KPIs. There's a lot of matrices. It can get very confusing. And that second problem is where's the numbers for things like events, just as an example. An event is something that a user has done on a site, which we would actually consider that to be in the conversions. You would go to conversions and you would never find events because in Google Analytics, events are in behaviors. It gets worse. And then you have things like when you want to do a report, you brand Google Analytics. There's no place to download your brand. There's no place for you to add text to explain what's occurring in this 7-day period over and over again. Why is it repeating? There's no place where you can add text, branding. And so the one thing that we do like about Google Analytics is that they follow the ABCs. If you look at the menu in Google Analytics, it's got the acquisitions, the behaviors, and the conversions. And that's exactly what we want to talk about. When we're doing analytics and you're providing insights, that's exactly what you're talking about. Where are they buying traffic? What's the traffic doing? And then how are they converting? All right. So we're going to follow that kind of logic in the Insights and Analytics dashboard. So within Insights and Analytics, there's more metrics, and I believe it's easier to locate the attributions and the conversions than you can with Google Analytics. And maybe it's a little bit biased, but really, I chose these tools because of the fact that Google Analytics is extremely confusing. It's very hard to organize for an advertising agency with hundreds of clients, and in all of the different ways that we're divided up between the sales teams and all. It's extremely confusing to work with Google Analytics. So I chose this particular tool. I think about probably 30 to 40% of the reporting is really good. I'd like to see a fantastic amount of improvements on the reports, but otherwise I think these are fantastic for data analysis and makes things so much easier and faster. But rather than go through this one by one and show you like screen by screen here and then throwing arrows, what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to go right up into our, hey, where didn't I close that? I'm going to go right up into our toolbox. And you go into the campaigns and you'll find Google Analytics. This is for, of course, clients that we've got Tag Manager. Some of them have given us Google Analytics, but let's not confuse things. Let's say these are Tag Manager accounts. So the very first thing you'll notice that is a difference if you've worked with Google Analytics is that all of the ways to change these charts and graphs and tables are usually down in the lower right-hand corner down over in this area, and you get a lot of things that you can change, but you can't really tell if you're changing the chart or if you're changing the table or if you're changing both. Well, with us, with Insights and Analytics, if it's above the chart, then that's going to change the chart, and if it's above the table, then those things are going to change the table. That's the first thing that we want to look at. And you might find that I have a delay in what I'm talking about because I'm going back and forth between my tablet, where I can follow the presentation, and here where you can see what I'm trying to do live. I don't want to miss anything. This is important. And it's really cool stuff. So besides the fact that we can make these changes to the charts here, one of the things that we want to do when we're working with comparative data is, as an analyst, we want to know not just where the client is at, but how the client is doing. And by that, what I'm saying is that we got this heat map going in. This is a heat map, right? Different colors in the different columns and rows that tell you what's going on. So, we've got green, something's happening good. Red, something's happening good. White, there's death, right? It's nothing. It's all gone. So, that heat map, what that does for you is we see that immediately there's a 19% improvement over the last 30 days, right? We're working December 1st to December 31st. In the previous 30 days, we've got a 19% improvement in sessions for referral traffic. Now, if we want to know the real numbers, then that's 1,383 in the current month versus 1,159 in the previous month. We can look and we can see over all sources of traffic, in individual, and we can look at the individual metrics for each one of these by the heat map. So that's critical information at a glance for the analyst. You can look at this and see right away where are all the things where I'm going bad. Where's my failures? I can look at the red. Where are all the places where I'm doing good? Oh my gosh, it's like almost anything. Look at that. Look at that. It's great. So the other key component for working with the data is that you want to make sure that every single table that you're working with in your analysis is set up exactly the same, and there's a priority to that. And so when you open the table view, you got all the options. You can turn off the new sessions, you can turn off new users, you can turn off page views, and you can turn off bounce. And so for every one of these tables, and the way that we do the analysis here at Republic Media, then we don't really care about bounce rate. It used to be a really important thing, but a lot of our landing pages are a single page. It's going to have a really high bounce rate. But what we really want to do, if we're going to look at any kind of metric at all, we want to look at things that are really important. And the important thing is, how long does somebody stay on the page? Is that improving? Because if they're staying longer, then they are engaging with the content. How many pages are they looking at? If they're looking at multiple pages within a website, then that's an engaging website. If that's improving, then the content that's getting created, the new content, is working. You're having improvements. And then the absolutely most critical thing that we're looking for, especially with tagged accounts, is conversions. We want to know the conversion rate. We want to know the goal completions, the total number of conversions, in other words, and we want to know what the value. That's really sharp information that any business owner would love to know. You walk into their office and you tell them, hey, your value, your website brought you 173% more revenue in December than it did in November. There isn't a business owner in town that doesn't want to hear that, right? Those are great numbers. So you make sure that every single table is set up exactly the same way, so that as you're going through and looking at the various sources of information and the various mediums of information, that at least the KPIs are being reported in exactly the same way. Donuts to donuts, oranges to oranges. Now, if we want to get more in depth, let's look at all traffic for a second. And looking at all traffic, then we say we got referral traffic, we've got organic, direct, paid search, social. And let's say that we want to drill down on organic traffic. And we want to know a little bit more of the details. So all you have to do is click on it right there in the table and click organic. And now you're going to get the filtered view of all the organic. And so here's the individual keywords. Because this is a Tag Manager account, we're getting some insight to the actual keywords that are getting used. Now, you may want to look at it in a very different way. And so, if you wanted to look at, scroll up here, if I wanted to look at something besides the keyword, let's say maybe I want to know, is this organic traffic from Google, Yahoo, Bing, AOL, what? Then I can switch this to the source instead of to the keyword. And then for my organic, I can see here's Google organic, Bing organic, Yahoo. So I can tell where I'm getting better listings, where I'm getting better performance in the search engines, which are the search engines. Or, I can go back and do it just by the medium, so that that's just all organic, right? If I have my UTM set up and I've used the campaign tag on the UTMs, then I could also just filter this by the campaign. And as you can see, of course, in organic, that's always not set. So those are the primary dimensions that are available. If you're using something like a Republic Media on a UTM, then you can do it by the medium. You can then filter that out. I think I'm jumping ahead by talking about filters. So let me see what happens. Okay, we did that. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna go back over here to the all traffic. And I'm going to start looking at the search component within all traffic. So when we look at the search component, and we're going to look at from a dimension, it sometimes helps to be able to filter out the noise. We want to get to the point where we're looking at just a specific bit of information. So let's run through an example here. Let's say that I want to look at all traffic, and I'm going to set the table dimension to source medium. Okay, so I'm going to go here and set this to source medium in my table. So now I'm looking at Google Organic, AZ Central referral traffic, Republic Media, such as that. Now, let's say that I just want to look at referral medium. All sources, but I just want the referral medium. So I can go to my search, and I can type in the word referral, and I can hit the search. And now what that's going to do for my table is that now it's going to still be sorted by source medium, but it's only going to show me referral mediums. So now, that can be really important, because now I just want to talk to the client about how they can improve a link strategy. And I can look through here and I can think, look at this, Republic Media should never be a referral for Republic Media. So I need to add that filter. And once I have that filter added into the metrics, then it won't show up here anymore. Traffic to cache, XYZ, that's spam. So I can see that now, and I can add that to the filter and get rid of that. Static pages at AZ Central, that's good. Google Mayor, that's another spam site. So you see, each month I go in here to this referral source, and I can start adding filters to get rid of the spam sites and get it to a point where I can see just the type of information and only the numbers that are going to be valid. And it's going to be real traffic. So what about that not set as a source? We see that all the time, right? So as an example, let's go into the social. And let's look at conversions in social. This is a notorious one for not set. Let's take a look here. I almost have to cross, but yeah, there you go. So you see, you have the not set. And so, and let's say that you don't want to have the not set. You want to analyze what's true, what you can actually verify. So what we can do there is you can create a filter. If you click on the filter tool here, and you create a new filter, then it pops up the filter bars. So for this particular case, what we want to do is we want to do an exclusion. And we want to exclude from the source network channel here, or column, anything that contains not set. So we type in not set. And once we have that in there, then you see they're gone. And then maybe I want to add another filter. I can hit this plus sign over here. And let's exclude from the same column anything that contains trackback. And I'll add that filter. And now we're just looking at the social conversions for just the information that I find to be the most important for the analysis that I'm providing on the client. And that's how you can filter these. And you can save these filters if you want. You can save them the one that you're going to use quite often, for instance, like not set, maybe something you want to save. And then you just you can call them up later. Just go right to your saved filters in the filter rather than create, right? And that way, that's how you can get rid of these data that you don't want to work with and just look at the data that you do want to work with. So, what if we want to take this report after we've added the filters? Where I exclude the not set filter in here. Now I want to just provide just this report. That's all that my rep is asking me for, my sales rep's asking me for, or my sales manager. They just want to look at the social conversions over this period of time, and they want to see, you know, what those goal values are for the conversions. So what I can do, the best way to share this is with the PDF. So if you go into the tool options and create that PDF, now this is for internal use only. These PDFs are not something that are going to be client facing. So you want to make sure that when the rep asks you for, just give me the social metric report, or just give me the AZ Central traffic report, or the push down over this period of time, I just want to look at that traffic. You want to clarify with them, is this just internal use, or are you just going to use this internally? Then if it is, then you can create the PDF just right here in the tools. And simple enough, that's very easy to do. But if they're going to go client facing, then of course you'd have to go to the report tools and build it all out so that we can get it branded and professional looking and client facing. And of course, if you want to do a custom report or custom chart, something that's not in there, then you can, for instance, if you wanted to just look at the keyword and you wanted just the click-through rate for each of those keywords, then you can create that custom report right here. And again, if it's for internal use only, or if it's something that you want to always have in your analyses here, you can create that and save that custom report. I do mostly, if I have a custom report though, I build it into the dashboard. I've never built it into the Google Analytics. I always just, because when you're working in the dashboard within our Insights and Analytics, this is your dashboard, and this is the dashboard just for this client. If you go from one client to the next, this dashboard doesn't follow you around. You could import it from client to client, but this is unique to you. Nobody else sees the dashboard. So this is a great way for you to build just data just the way you want to look at it and pull in all of the different tooling that you like to verify, or that this particular account executive that you work with has a tendency to ask for a specific type of report, and you can stick it in that dashboard. You can have it ready at a glance, ready on an instant. All right, so where are we at here? Oh yeah, we're getting places here, huh? And let's look at now if we wanted to build a report, and we want to incorporate into the report some of these filters that we've got. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to do an ad hoc report. Okay, I'm just going to do a new report from the report builder. All right, and of course we're gonna add the Republic Media logo. I've got some here, don't I? Yeah. Always have it branded Republic Media. And then I want to add new, and I'm going to add a Google Analytics, of course, because that's what we've been looking at, is the Google Analytics. But now I want to do some custom reporting. So I'm going to the create a custom, and I can't read my my iPad. Hang on a second. And I want to do the select metrics, and what we looked at, we were working with the social. Right, we were looking at the social campaigns and social conversions, and we created a filter. So we go to the social conversions here, and we add that in. And then there's a couple of things that we can do. For one, we want to make sure that we're looking at social network referrals. Right, because we were looking at the referrals, and we're going to look at a table. And we're going to use our exclude. All right, we had that exclude source equals not set that we created and saved. So that's available to us in our advanced segment. So we exclude source equals not set. And then this is the social network column. You remember? Yeah, of course you do. And then we come in here and we look at the table, and we got the goal value. That's correct, and I believe that this needs to get changed to goal completion. There we go. And there it is. Make sure I got everything right. And then the section name, of course, is going to have to be changed, because what we're actually looking at here is social conversions. So we want to change that to social conversions. Cool. And that's how we could add those filtered views that we created up there if we want to go client facing with that report. So now we just hit submit. And we wait, and then we get that report, right? Okay. In this particular case, I didn't have any social conversions. It was all zero, if you remember correctly when we were looking back there. So we have none. So we got to report this as there's none. That was really anticlimactic. But that's how you would be able to add those custom reports and those custom filters into the report. Let's go back to the Google Analytics for a second here. Okay, so let's go back here for a second, because this wasn't fair that we ended up with nothing there. So I switched the profile, and I switched the campaign, and I'll go over it here one more time, just because you want to see the results, right? So again, we set the metric to the social network. We turned this into a table. We found our filter that we created for the exclude the sources not set. And we're looking at the primary dimensions, the social network for all goals. Now, here's that table again where we want to say we're not really interested in everything here. We basically, what we want in this particular table is we want the goal value, and we want the goal completions. So in that case, we don't want the pages, we don't want the session durations, we don't want the page views, and we don't want the number of sessions, but we definitely want to look at the goal value, and that's the most important. So we're going to move goal value to the very first position in the table, and then we're going to move the, let's go with, putting the goal conversions in that second position there. Okay, there we go. And then now when we hit the save or the submit, and we build out the table, we're going to see the conversions that are here. Okay, and so that's what I wanted to show, because in that case we can see clearly that we've now got our social network conversions here in the report. So what else can we do? Well, there's a couple of different things, I guess, that we could do. Items that are particularly important is, again, going back over to the campaign in the Google Analytics. When you're looking at in the Google Analytics, a lot of rain in this first week of January. It's slowing down the fiber optics. Just kidding. I don't understand why this is running so slow today. But it's got to be the rain. It's all the rain's fault. When in doubt, refresh. Here we go. So using these tables for like top referrals and looking at the heat maps, you want to look at the specifics of, like, if you have azcentral.com here, and then we're looking at like how the landing pages are corresponding to the majority of the traffic going to the home page, and it's not creating good goal completions because the home page and the campaign coming from AZ Central aren't relating to each other. You can see that the AZ Central traffic and the metrics are going up, but the landing page metrics are the goal completion isn't working. So you want to be able to tie in things like, what is the landing page that's working from the campaign? The other thing that you want to look at and think about is that when we're running campaigns from Republic Media, if we use a UTM and we have the source as Republic Media, then these Facebook ads and the AZ Central ads will group together as Republic Media traffic. So you can drive this traffic report for Republic Media even higher, because all of the campaigns have that same source as Republic Media, and this is going to embed not just here in our dashboard reports and in our tables, but also on the client's tables. When they go in and look at their analytics, it's going to show Republic Media is the dominant referrer. Now, if you want to drill down further and you want to say, well, but I want to separate I want to see my Facebook campaigns, well, you're going to name the campaigns in that UTM, and then you just go back into your filter and you start filtering it by campaign. And now you can see, here's Republic Media, and now I can create a custom table here just for my campaign names. see what else am I missing here. So I'm going to go back into the presentation now because I think that's just about it for this recording. But from an analyst perspective, now when you're analyzing data and you're building these charts and these filters and you're really starting to get a hold of the idea that how to work and manipulate with the data so that you can see what the data is showing you, then it really doesn't do you any good just to build charts and graphs or just to produce data for the sake of data. One of my pet peeves, right? And so what, as an analyst, there's really 8 things that you want to be able to provide in every single report, in every standard report or every end of the month campaign report. And in those 8 questions, and they're called arguments for better sake. As scientists, we always say, well, what's the argument? Well, the first thing we want to know is, where is the traffic coming from? Then the second thing you're going to say is what are the conversion opportunities for the client? What are the events? What are the goals? Third thing is we want to be able to say, well, what is the value of these conversions? We want to solve that argument for what is the value. The fourth thing is what should be done immediately to improve these conversions. What can we do right now today if the client did differently would have an immediate impact on number of conversions, positive impact. Fifth thing we would ask is how can AZ Central referral traffic improve their conversions? That's our priority. That's our get in the door. That's our gravy boat right there. That's something that we have that nobody else has that gets us in the door. So how can AZ Central referral traffic improve their conversions? Number 6 is how and what other channels should the client be using? So we want to look at like the vertical channel. That's that report that we did like last year. By each vertical, how do each one of the digital channels play a role? So then what would that budget need to be for that vertical? What landing pages are they going to need for each of those channels? How's the site audit look? Is their site even going to convert? Is there problems that we're going to have? And what's the competition doing? What are the link building opportunities? What about paid search? So how and what are the other channels? Number 7 are the channels producing the conversions. So we're going to look at last click attribution, first click attribution. We'll look at the linear models for attribution models. And then number 8 would be on a short term and long term opportunities. And what are those short term, long term opportunities? And that's how we'll build out the reports for these select tag manager running clients. And we'll get into that in the next time.